Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I want to show you an idea on how to use up your paper. I am a paper hoarder, have been for a little while now, so I'm making an effort to use my paper as well. So I came across this and wanted to share it with you. So I'm using two different sheets from the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper from the Celebration brochure, which is ending at the end of February. So if you want this paper, don't wait. So like I said, I'm using two different sheets, but you could do this with one sheet of 12 by 12 as well. And we're going to make 11 cards with one sheet of 12 by 12, or in this case, two sheets of 6 by 12. So I've already done this one, and I will show you those cards after, but I didn't want to keep you here for hours, so I'm just going to focus on one half. So I have cut this page in half already. So I only need one half because I've already made 5 cards with the other half. So I came across this, like I said, online. It was prepared by, and I want to mention this because it's not my own. So it's prepared by Shannon West and Julie Devison. I believe they're in the US. So I am cutting my sheet at 3.5. And then I'm cutting this page into 2 1/4. So we're going to do 2 1/4 times 2. So I love this because it uses up every bit of the paper. And this teeny tiny little last piece we are going to cut at 1.5. Or 1 3/4. Hang on. If I go 1 3/4, that's right. So put those little pieces over there. Here are those. Then we're taking this page and we're going to cut it at 4 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it at 3/4. I'm going to put that aside, and then I'm going to cut this at 1 inch times 4. No. Yes. 1 inch times 4. Don't want to get this wrong while I'm doing a video. That would be a little annoying to have to start over. All right. So that's those pieces. And then we are left with 6 by 4.5. Yay, I did it right. Okay, so we are going to cut this at 3 inches. And then we are going to cut these at 1.5. So 1.5 again. There we go. Sorry. I'm always a little quieter when I'm measuring because I want to get it right. Alright, so that's all of those cut. Now, I should mention that you need, because we are making 11 cards, you need 11 card bases. I have cut these already. So I am using coordinating cardstock. You could use white as well. So we need, and I've got 6 left because I've made 11 cards already. So we're going to start with what I find is the slightly more complicated card. So I'm just going to put these aside. So I am folding. So we're going to use up those smaller 1 by 1.5 by 3 pieces that we've done. So So I'm just folding that. So these are 8.5 by 5.5 card bases that I've done. Scored at 4.25. So for this first layout, I had to add white cardstock cut at 5 inches by 3.25. So I've already done those as well. This is the part where I put my glasses on so that I can see what I'm doing. So we're going to pull these pieces out. So you're going to want to arrange these on your paper just to have an idea where you're going. And they don't have to match exactly, and you could use, that's really cute too. So now I'm torn on which side of the paper to use. I am going to go with, I don't know why these don't line up. Anyway, I'm going to go with this one. It's close enough, and I think it's really cute. So I'm just lining it up to kind of see where I want my paper to be, so that I have kind of a fairly uniform border on each side, and then I'll worry about the centerpiece. So I'm going to use my liquid glue for this. I'm always conflicted when I love both sides of the paper, but we will use the little flowers on another one. So that goes down like so. I'm just lining up the middle piece so that I have a reference point for my end piece. The end piece will come together. Sorry, the middle piece will come together, but it's just about getting these pieces with a fairly consistent and preferably straight border. I find it so hard to glue things down straight sometimes. There we go. I'm more of an abstract gluer, which, you know, you could do with this layout as well. Just kind of want to try to follow it. So what's nice about this layout is it really does come together fairly quickly once you've done your cutting. So if you're prepared ahead of time, it'll come together nicely. So that's our first one. And for our second one, just going to do the same thing. These, and I mean, you could do this with any designer series paper. Just be mindful of your orientation when you're cutting it up. Aw, and these actually go together. Okay. So again, I'm going to start with my ends. Just so I have my placement for that centerpiece, that it's fairly even. It does not have to be exact. That's the beauty of handmade cards. But I still want it to look nice. So go. So now I'm putting down my other end just to have the borders kind of lined up. And then we'll do our center. So I've done all of my stamping for these as well. You'll want to choose a stamp set that's got a couple different sentiments so that you're going to make 11 cards, right? So I've already done that. So the next step is to stick these down. And I'm just going to use my liquid glue for that as well. a bit of a shock today as I was finishing my work day. I was busy finishing up my kind of last email of the day and deep in thought, and something hit my window very hard, enough to shatter it. And so, you know, I stopped what I was doing and ran outside. My 12-year-old decided to try to take a piece of ice and start an avalanche on the snow that was on the roof. And he missed, so he hit my window. So there's he didn't go all the way through the window, but there's a great big massive crack in my window. So that's my office / craft room. So I'll have to keep an eye on that, and I guess we'll deal with it in the spring. So he hasn't figured out what his punishment is yet. I honestly haven't figured out what his punishment is yet. It was an accident in his defense, and he has apologized. He's on the verge of tears. I'm sorry, I didn't know it would do that, he said. I'm like, really? There's a window. Anyway, yeah. So that was the end of my work day. All right, so those are really fun, right? So we get 2 of these. Like I said, I've already done 2. I'm not going to torture you by watching me do that. And then we've got, I'm just adding some ribbon. I'm just referring back to my other ones. So you can do what you want with this. I am using the coordinating metallic ribbon. So I've used, this is, oh goodness. I need to check, I'm sorry. Seaside Spray is the color of my card base, as is this ribbon. And I'm going to fold it on it over itself. So I'm just going to measure out about 7 inches. And I'm just using my fabric scissors to make that cut. And I'm going to use the ribbon 2 different ways. So I'm just cutting about 4 inches on this one-ish. All right. So one of the things I like to do when I am using ribbon behind a behind paper that I've already cut out, I use the rectangle stamp punch for these. And my aim is to use different sentiments behind each card. The sentiments that I used as well, I should point out, are the Punch Party sentiments. And those are, that's the Hostess stamp set for during celebration. So if you sell $375, I believe it is, on a host party, you get that stamp set for free. It's a nice little bonus. So that's until the end of February. So if you're interested in hosting, we don't have a lot of time left, so please get in touch with me and we'll set something up. I got this stamp set not too long ago actually, and I hadn't used it yet, and I love it. And it coordinates with 3 different punches, so I'm using it here with the rectangle punch. There we go. And for my other one, again, I'm using double-sided tape. I'm letting the tape do the work for me on these. So the tape is going to hold my ribbon, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. So for this one, I'm kind of folding it in half. And I just want a little bit poking out the side. And I'm using dimensional to pop up these my sentiment labels. And it's okay if that goes over top of the ribbon a bit. And I clearly have glue on my fingers. It's driving me crazy, but that's okay. It's not sticking anywhere else. don't want to cover up too much of my flowers. So, I mean, because I've got this horizontal ribbon already going across, the sentiment does not have to be centered like I did with this one. And I will leave those like that for now. So we'll go to our next layout. I need my card bases. So for this one, it's the same size paper. So we're still working with 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4.25. And we'll be making 2 of this one as well. So the difference with this layout is I've scored it as well on the front at 1.25. So you can see the 1.25 here, or maybe, I don't know if you can on the video. So I'm just folding that over. And you have 2 options with this one. You can glue that flat, or you can leave it to have a little extra dimension to the card. It's entirely optional and up to you. So I'll show you what I mean by that with the ones I've already made. Where are they? Ah. Sorry. So these are with the other print that I did. So I did these earlier, as I mentioned. So this one I did not glue down, so it kind of has a fun effect. And when you open your card, you've still got lots of room to write. And this one I did glue down, and I think I prefer it glued down, so that's what I'm going to do for mine. Yeah, it's just a fun sort of, it's not, I guess it's considered a fun fold, because it's just not a regular card. So yeah. Just gluing that down, and then we'll add our paper. So for these ones, we're using those 4 pieces of 1 by 5.25 that we've done, so they'll have a nice border. And I love these little flowers. I'm tempted to do one like this, but I just love the flowers. So I'm going to use those flowers. And so they don't have to match up exactly, depending what paper you're using. Again, just mind the orientation when you're cutting it with the layout in mind. I can share these dimensions with you as well after the video, so you can make more of these. It's a nice way to use up your paper and have your paper kind of do a lot of the work here, because they're simple layouts, as you can see, and they do come together nice and quickly. Especially if you've prepared your card bases ahead of time, and you can do your stamping all at once. So I did it in 2 batches because I wanted to make half the cards and then be able to make the other half with you on this video. And just want that to be straight. There we go. I love my liquid glue for that reason, actually, because it lets me, things aren't completely stuck, right? I can move things around a bit until I've got the hopefully straight layout that I'm looking for. So for these 2, we'll do thanks for everything. happy birthday. Sorry, a heartfelt thanks for everything. And I'm not going to use ribbon. I am going to use dimensionals. And I'm trying to think. I think I'm going to add a cute little flower to these. Maybe 2 flowers to these. So I'm using the Small Blooms Punch from the annual catalog. And this is Night of Navy cardstock, which coordinates with the papers that the designer series paper, as well as the paper that I've chosen. I think I'm running out of scrap here. I'm hoping I have enough for one more. I think I do. And there we go. No more blue flowers for me. All right, so before I put those down, I'm going to put a little flower in the corner of each of my, on my labels. Just using a little bit of liquid glue to do that, just to line it up. Ooh, or a lot of liquid glue, as it were. All right. I do find it more efficient to do the ones that are the same layout all at once, because then you've kind of just got those done. So I'm going to use dimensionals to put these down, and then we'll work with those other little flowers that I've got. You could do this with, you know, any labels that you want, die cuts or punches, and you can also, you know, add whatever extra details you want to add, whether it be ribbon or other die cuts, punches. It's really flexible. I absolutely love this celebration. It is the best time to buy, because for $60, every $60 you spend, you get extra products, which is always awesome. And I also love helping people shop when you have a project in mind and you're not sure how to turn it into reality or the best, you know, best value for things. Just let me know, and I will be happy to share my expertise with you. And there we go. And lastly with these, I do want to add a little bit of bling, because everyone needs bling. So I'm using the champagne rhinestones for this. And I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Place that in the middle. And I do like to put my bling in threes, so I'm just going to add a tiny one down here at the bottom. So that's our second layout. And if you've been following, that means we have 2 more to go. So we need card bases. So this is a different, the last 2 are different, so I'm just going to do one at a time. So I'm just, again, same cardstock, cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and scored and folded at 4 1/4. And so for this one, we're using these 2 pieces. So that's our 3.5 by 2.25 pieces. And remember that first piece that I cut that was 4 by 3.25? I'm going to use him. So he's going to act as a bit of a ribbon, if you will. So again, I just want to, it's not really an orientation of this paper, so it makes it a bit easier. It might be easier to do this with paper that doesn't have a strong orientation. But it can be done with any paper. Just be mindful when you're cutting it that everything will work. So I'm just centering that on my base. And I'm going to leave a gap because we've got that 3.25 piece to fill it in. I kind of want to leave fairly even. Oh, are these straight? My goodness, maybe not. All right, there we go. Fairly even top and bottom, and then we're going to cover the center down. So again, just liquid glue on that. And I just want to center this on so it's got kind of even space on each side and then it's straight. So for this one, I'm going to use Hope You Feel Better Soon. Sorry, I'm trying to get some of that glue off myself. So I'm going to use Rococo Rose for this flower. And it's got quite a bit going on in this one, so I'm just going to use one flower. So tiny bit of dab of glue on the 2 little petals. Stick that down. Just on the corner like that to add a little bit of interest. And we'll add our dimensionals on the back. I don't know if you know this, but the dimensionals have a border around them. So you can just, when you get to the end of your dimensionals, just use your scissors and use those up. Cut it to the size you need and you're good to go. So I'm just going to center this on. And we'll add a little bit of bling. Randomly put a few jewels down, and then we've got our last card. So I'm just going to pull in our last little pieces that we have. So one of the reasons I wanted to use this paper is because I knew that my little pieces that were left over would work really well. Again, if you're using one big sheet of 12 by 12, you'll know ahead of time what you've got, but I've decided to mix 2 papers together, and so these are the ones that we have left over from the paper I cut today, and these are the ones I have left over from the paper I cut previously. So it's the same print, just different colors. So I'm going to put these diagonally, and this card is orientated horizontally. Score that again. So I'm just arranging these little scraps, and this could work, you know, for any scraps of designer series paper that you have left over. You don't have to be doing a full 12 by 12 giant project. You can look through your stash and see what scraps you have. I know I like to use up every little last bit. So the key to this one is going to try to get it somewhat straight. Operative word being try. I don't know why I do this to myself. All right. Hopefully that's straight. Or straight enough. Again, you can totally see me wiggling around my paper to try to line it up. If you're using a dry or adhesive, like one of the snail tapes or double-sided tape, you don't have that luxury of being able to wiggle things around so much. Of course, with this last one, you could totally arrange your squares completely differently and not worry about lining them up at all, which perhaps I should have thought of before I put them down, but here we are. And this is so not straight. Ah. All right, well, it is what it is. So I wanted to show you the rectangle punch in action here too with my last sentiment. So what I like to do is I line it up to where I think I want it, and I just go halfway down with the punch, and it is where I want, so then I'll punch it through. I quite like using punches. Of course, I like using it all. So we've got our little Bravo. I feel that it needs a little bit more, so I'm going to pull in that ribbon again. And I'm tempted to do that longer one again. So again, I'm going to let the tape here do the heavy lifting for the ribbon to get that on where I want it. And then we'll put that on dimensionals, and I may or may not add flowers. I have to decide. And they're right in front of my face. Oh, goodness. To determine how many of these I need, I usually think about if I put this in the mail, is it going to survive? And that's kind of how I decide how many to add. So that's pretty cute as it is. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of bling to this one since it's a Bravo. Celebrations always need bling, right? There we go. So that, I'll just pull these back in so you can see what we've done. So this is our kind of odd card out. And then we've got 1 and 2 like these. And 3 and 4. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these. And 2 like so. So that is, it goes by several different names. This one's called Double Wonder. There's 12 by, I forgot, one sheet wonder, that's it. So there's several variations. If you go on Pinterest, you'll have a lot of options as well. I've seen a bunch there. But I hope you like this and that you're inspired to use up your paper. So I wish you a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching this video.